Shalom, call halal Yahweh Shemi Awashai Ban Shemakak Wadash. Double honors to the elder apostles and elder bishops of Great Millstone, even the elders that came before them that tell us his truth. Shalom and salutations to all the brothers out pushing the word in truth and in sincerity, the hopeful elect tabernacle of David. From the brother slash elder, shalom and salutations to you all. The name of this lesson will be Let Them Be Wicked Still. Okay, the wicked are crashing out. Who are the wicked? Start with the two-thirds. Two-thirds are crashing out. Okay, Eve is part of the two-thirds. We can start with Eve, the two-thirds, and then the actual wicked Esau. These people are crashing out. Crashing out. I type in crash out in YouTube. Here's what comes up. A bunch of videos. 3 months. 1 month. Crash out. YN's crashing out. Okay. Crash out behavior. Right? Esau crashing out. Everybody. And crashing out 6 months, 2 months, 2 out. Okay. Yeah. What is this? You see that? Is this thing in Qatar? Is that in Doha? Because what does that look like? It looks like that thing, that time traveling that Jodie Foster was in. That was a wormhole. That's significant right there. Whatever that is. They keep showing that. Anyway, Alex Jones won't stop crashing out 6 days ago. Okay, crashing out. Where's crash out? Crash out. It's 10 months. Look. Karen crashing out. Ranking the worst Karen crash outs. Everybody is crashing out. The two-thirds are crashing out. Look. Wig snatching. Yeah, that's a year ago. Snatcher ball headed. Bitch, I will snatch you ball headed. Anyway, thinking about crashing out. That's a song. YN's crashing out. These are lesser illuminated. Oh, this is old. Okay. So anyway, this lesson is about my daughter, who is now 16, and she has elected to follow her mother, who used the opportunity to bear false witness against me and take me to court for the truth, to destroy my fatherhood and my relationship between my daughter and I. And that, at the end of this thing, you understand what's going on from the spiritual aspect, which is, I have to understand that the Most High, at this point, she's of the two-thirds. There's nothing I can do except for pray for mercy for her. Okay. See, there's a protocol that everybody has to go through. When you see in the spirit that, and the lines are being drawn. Here's what's being said. All right, let's look at this. I'm gonna read this. Revelation 22:11. He that is unjust, let him be unjust still. He which is filthy, let him be filthy still. And he that is righteous, let him be righteous still. And he that is holy, let him be holy still. Now, I was having a discussion with my wife, and I was explaining to her what this means in the spirit, right? This is what it means in the spirit, right? And, and this is just me as a man. Lord willing, I'm in the spirit. And this is what I told her. Let the one who does what is evil continue to do what is evil. What does that mean? Well, in the spirit, it means that let him do better. Let him continue on. Let him grow in what is evil, right? And let the righteous person grow in righteousness and in the spirit. Isn't that what it means? Spiritually? Of course it does. Okay. So, what does that mean in these last days? If you are of the 2/3, if you're a reprobate, it's going to be noised abroad. You're going to emerge on the world scene, if you will, as that demon that you're fully going to embrace the demon that's on you. Okay? And it's going to show forth on you. While at the same time, with balance on the right, those that are righteous it's going to be, let's get that. This is what this means here. Then shall they be known. How shall they be known? Because people are going to see that. Then shall they be known, right? Because they're going to be doing everything right. Where is it? 2 Ezra 16:73. Then shall they be known who are my chosen, right? And they shall be tried as gold. And why are they going to be, for they shall waste and take away their gold? No, that's why they're going to see them getting thrown out of the house. Now, why? Why are they going to be like that? Why? Because they're fearing the Lord. What does that mean? They're saying his name. They're noising it abroad. They're being wise as serpents and harmless as doves, but you can see, right? What does it mean to fear the Most High and keep his commandments? For this is the whole duty. It means that they're keeping the commandment. You can see that on them. They're glowing, right? Look at this. And they that consent unto them, right, shall be had in derision and in reproach and trodden underfoot. Consent unto who? Unto Esau. That's not these, then they. These people aren't going to be trodden underfoot like that. They're going to be being delivered like that. Okay, number one. So trust me, okay, right now there's a division. The Most High, through his Son, is bringing division. You will know, right, because through their deeds, you're going to be able to see who is righteous and who is not, because everybody's going to grow in intensity. If you're wicked, you're going to grow in wickedness. If you're righteous, you're going to grow. If you're of the elect, you're going to grow in righteousness. And it'll be seen in many ways. Spiritual power is one of those ways. Because a demon can only get spiritual power on the left-hand side, and that's very, very limited. They won't be seen as the gods. Okay? What is it about? Being seen. Then shall they be known. Why? They're going to be glowing. Right? What does it mean? Then shall they be tried as gold. And what does that mean? Well, sounds like they're going to be put in really, really bad situations and then saved. Then saved from it. How did this nigga get out of that? Oh, he must be. Then shall they be known. Oh, that must be. How did he get out of that fire? How did Daniel, you understand? Wait a minute, they didn't eat that nigga? They're in there chilling. Who's that? Who's that in there? Who's that in there protecting? Who's that in there saving? So it behooves you to know this story. Anyway, let me get out by because I'm not going to play a video. I'm upset because, those around you, right, are either going to emerge as a full-blown demon, and the frequency of truth is on you. Those are opposing forces, and you guys are going to be forced to leave, right, the company of each other. Isaiah 5:20. When you want to side with your mother who was wrong, when you bear false witness to get what you want, okay, you're lying. Nothing good about that. And when that's been explained to you, right, and you choose to roll with that anyway, you're responsible for the choices that you make. You're a young adult now. Okay, you know the difference between right and wrong. Why? I taught you righteousness. You're making unwise decisions, right? In the 11th hour. We all know what that means. You can't be offending one of these little ones. Not now. There are consequences for all that. Isaiah 5:20. Woe unto them that call evil good. This bitch, bearing false witnesses up there in the top 6. Woe unto them that call evil good and good evil, that put darkness for light and light for darkness, that put bitter for sweet and sweet for bitter. Okay, whatever's left of the world as we know it, which is Esau's world, seconds. It's a bad investment to invest in what's left of the world as we know it. I saw this, and I'm gonna play it just to go out on a happy note and not a crash out note. This gave me hope right here. Let me go back. Salakia. The hell? What the hell that is? Salakia. I saw this. I'm gonna play this. It's on the Elder Manatazakba. Where's that? The speckled bird, which I know is a speckled bird. This one. I'm going to just let her say what she's going to say. Because this is, see, if you were raised with the truth.
The future for us.
Which my daughter was raised with the truth, right? But one hand was tied behind my back. And a demon demonized me. Luckily, we're in the time for that judgment, so everything is good. It's just that my daughter chose chose a role with what's left of white supremacy. So
it completely changed Europe. But again, they don't want you to know that.
So I was raised that Black people were God's favorite and they were the superior race. And it was interesting to be raised with that mentality because I think it's different than a lot of how other white people were raised. And I do believe that if more people were raised this way, the world would be a little bit better of a place and maybe we can get along a little bit nicer together. Obviously, there's pros and cons to everything. So I would love to discuss the pros and cons of what it was like to be raised with this mentality, as well as what you think about it and what you think we should do going forward to raise the next generation of children who are carrying the future for us. So how this mentality came about, I was really quizzical and curious as a child and very outspoken. It's interesting to look back now that we're in this ginger talk right now. I'm kind of reliving a few of the silly little traumas that we face as gingers. And I noticed that I was more outspoken between the ages of 0 and 8. And once I started getting really made fun of as a ginger, I kind of lost my voice and I wasn't as brave or outspoken and I was shy and timid. So it's kind of interesting to have that realization now, so many years later. Anyway, back to the important topic here. The way that this mentality was brought on to me was, as I said, I was very outspoken and, I was quizzical and curious as a child. So before the age of 6, I asked my mom, why do we call them black people when they're more different shades of brown? And I asked her, why do people treat them differently or call them names? Like, what does this mean? Why is this happening? And how do you explain race and racism to a child that is under the age of 6 in a way that they can understand? Because obviously they're not going to be able to comprehend or grasp the entirety of the depth of what racism really truly is. So
I'm going to let her explain what she's trying to say, but let me say this quickly. I'm going to look into this name, Ofriel. If there's a little click right there, that would make her like a Scot. She's a ginger, could be Irish, right? Caitlin Ofriel. I'm gonna look up this name Ofriel and see where it takes me. Anyway, she's clearly a speckled bird. She's just too well composed. You can look at her eyes and look at her mannerisms and see that that's a Jake. And if her mother taught her the truth like that, her mother's probably a Jake too, even though she's from the seed of her father. But her mother taught her the truth, and this is what you get. Look how well composed and how beautiful she is, and her spirit, even keeled. She's okay with it. She understands the truth. That gives you an even keel. Look that up.
how do you explain that to a child? She knew that I loved my.
How do you explain racism to a child? Listen to how her mom chose and how she delivered it and how she understood it.
Age of 6 in a way that they can understand, because obviously they're not going to be able to comprehend or grasp the entirety of the depth of what racism really truly is. So how do you explain that to a child? She knew that I loved my brownies and my cookies baked a little bit longer than yours.
You can tell by the stories that you can see she's recalling these things. So she's being genuine.
Supposed to, because
Unless she's just a serpent, she's making all this shit up. Right? You have to consider all of that.
I said I was very outspoken and, I was quizzical and curious.
She was a Jake, looking for the truth. Why am I being treated like these Negroes? This is, if you don't understand what she's saying, she said, I'm a ginger. They was treating me like these Negroes. Why am I being treated like a, because you are one. Ofriel.
Western medical training. Oh, and I bet you thought that the Wright brothers were the ones that are responsible for inventing flight. Nope. Finn Burness, again, sorry if I pronounced it wrong, but he was the first one to actually attempt flight scientifically, and he was actually successful. The only thing he wasn't successful on was
Look at the gingers.
just a few of the ways that the Moorish people completely changed Europe.
How do the gingers identify?
Know that.
So I was raised that Black people were God's favorite and they were the superior race. And it was interesting to be raised with that mentality, because I think it's different than a lot of how other white people were raised. And I do believe that if more people were raised this way, the world would be a little bit better.
If my daughter was raised now, of course I'm teaching my daughter. When my daughter was born, I was already in the truth. So she's getting that side. But from her mom, when they use those lies to gain custody and begin their campaign of brainwash, and now she's fallen on, she's calling good evil and evil good. So she's out of there, right, at this point. So what I have to do is I got to, suck that up and move. And everybody's about to do that. Everybody that's in your life, right, if they're of the 2/3, they're going to crash out on you. And you're going to repel them. You're going to go your separate ways. We're in that time right now. Those people are going to die. The Most High will be putting them to death. We're in the time of judgment.
Place, and maybe we can get along a little bit nicer together. Obviously, there's pros and cons to everything, so I would love to discuss the pros and cons of what it was like to be raised with this mentality, as well as what you think about it and what you think we should do going forward.
Listen to how thorough she's being about this subject. And you can't fake that. She went through all, she was treated as a white person. She was being treated not like the others. She's a ginger. So she understands a little bit about what it means to be black. This is what she's saying. She doesn't understand she's a Jake. She's being very thorough about her experience as a white woman. And they treat me like a nigga over here, and it got me to thinking, and so I started to investigate. Like, Jake is like, she's a Jake, clearly, and she's rolling. She's in her position. She's very powerful, right? She knows she knows something, right, that other people don't know, and they're caught up on it. What does she know? She knows the truth. So she's free. And she's using, right? She doesn't understand she's a Jake, right? That has been shown the truth. Really. Look how composed she is.
To raise the next generation of children who are carrying the future for us. So how this mentality came about, I was really quizzical and curious as a child and very outspoken. It's interesting to look back now that we're in this ginger talk right now. I'm kind of reliving a few of the silly little traumas that we face as gingers. And I noticed that I was more outspoken between the ages of 0 and 8. And once I started getting really made fun of as a ginger, I kind of lost my voice and I wasn't as brave or outspoken, and I was shy and timid. So it's kind of interesting to have that realization now, so many years later. Anyway, back to the important topic here. The way that this mentality was brought on to me was, as I said, I was very outspoken, and I was quizzical and curious as a child. So before the age of 6, I asked my mom, why do we call them black people when they're more different shades of brown? And I asked her, why do people treat them differently or call them names? Like, what?
She's already seeing with spiritual eyes. Somebody that could come up and ask this question. Why are we calling them black when they're clear? Somebody who could come up and ask that question when everything around you says that we're black. Somebody come and ask that question as spiritual is seeing in the spirit.
Does this mean? Why is this happening? And how do you explain race and racism to a
Let me play that again because you got to hear it in this context.
Different shades of brown? And I asked her, why do people treat them differently or call them names? Like, what does this mean? Why is this happening? And how do you explain race and racism to a child that is under the age of 6 in a way that they can understand? Because obviously they're not going to be able to comprehend or grasp the entirety of the depth of what racism really truly is. So how do you explain that to a child? She knew that I loved my brownies and my cookies baked a little bit longer than you're supposed to, because the crispy edge of the brownie was always my favorite. And I loved when the chocolate chip cookie was a little bit crispy on the outside and a little gooey on the inside. And that was the perfect way to bake the cookies and bake the brownies. So she used that analogy. And yes, it sounds crazy, but as a 4-year-old child, it made perfect sense. And she used that analogy and she said, you know how you like your cookies and your brownies baked a little bit extra? That's kind of what God did with black people. He took more time and more love into creating black people. And
that's it. You can say that, right? How did her mom say that? You have to teach that, right? To teach the truth, you have to have the capacity to vibrate at the frequency of truth. And that's what she's doing. She's vibrating at the frequency of truth, which makes her different. She's glowing, she's together, she's composed, she's probably submissive to her husband. She understands these things, probably, most likely. Look how even-keeled she is, while everyone around her, right, doesn't understand what she's saying and would never, they can't vibrate at this level, so they're going to reject what she's saying out of hand. She's able to contain that frequency and operate at that frequency. If you understand what I just said.
Why they're a little bit darker than you. He just baked them a little bit longer. That's how she described race to me. And she said that anybody who talks badly about them or is mean to them is just jealous.
Oops. That's just the truth. That's called the frequency of truth. And look at how she's fine with it. She's okay. She knows the truth. She understands it. She's free from that ceiling, if you will, that trap. She's not trapped by that falsehood, right? And that gives you, right, the capacity for growth. See, when you're a hater, you hate the Most High. You're a rebel to she's vibrating at a higher frequency than that, right? She's acknowledging the truth. In order to do that, you can't be no damn hater. You can't be Esau. Understand that? Look at this.
So right away, I was kind of just like completely infatuated and just in awe of Black people, because I'm like, oh my gosh, what is it like to be God's favorite? What is it like to, just be loved a little bit more from God? Like, I just thought it was incredible and amazing.
I can explain it. Catching hell.
And so I always just gravitated towards Black people because I was like, oh my God, like they're so lucky. Do they know how lucky they are? Like, how cool is it that God spent a little bit more time on them? I was fascinated by it. And
Shalom.
Esau cannot hold that vibration. Okay. Shout out to the brother GMS South Carolina 08, the Elder Manasta Zakba. It's an excellent lesson as he always delivers. Subscribe and be edified is what they say. This was 14 hours ago, but she just gave a master class on the frequency of truth. All right, and I don't think there's anything fake about that. Could it be AI? I don't know. But there's too much truth in it. Okay, the whole thing about a ginger, the drapes are matching, right? Anyway, I digress. The frequency of truth. What is she doing? She's calling out the evil. Okay? This applies to her in the right way. Isaiah 5:20. Woe unto them that call evil good and good evil, that put darkness for light and light for darkness. Well, you say, why are they being treated different? We all need to come together spirit, that's wrong. But she has the capacity for what? For the frequency of truth. So if she was taught the truth, she's got a great head start. She doesn't have stumbling blocks like a lot of people. God loves everybody. No. She understands that the so-called Black, she doesn't understand that they're Israelite. So when she understands, well, here's the reason why Black, because they're the children of Israel. And when you connect those dots, then she'll have greater understanding. But she'll be so much easier to accept that because she already understands half of the story and doesn't have that stumbling block that Esau has, right? That somehow he's superior, right? So when you put together, with what she said, when you put together that Yahushai, this dark-skinned Israelite, if you will, or had that dark skin that she's talking about, that she can see. through the Spirit, right? Anyway, she's calling good, good, and bad, bad. So where does she fall? Right? She might hear the word and be converted. Anyway, with that, I'm going to go ahead and close. Let me get this. Daughter against daughter. Oh. Mother against daughter. What does that mean? What does this mean? It means, what does the division mean? Okay. It means people like her who are resonating at the frequency of truth are going to separate themselves from people who are still in the world and are being carnal. She's walking in this. You have to, this is what she's doing. This is what she's doing, whether you understand that or not. Well, the conclusion of the whole matter. Is she fearing the Most High? She's fearing Jake. What does that word fear mean? Respect. She's showing reverence for black people. Is she not? Where are we at? 12 and 13. Ecclesiastes 12 and 13, let us hear the conclusion of the whole matter. Fear the Most High. How do you fear the Most High? Right? If you fear the Most High, you fear His people. What does it mean? It means respect God and keep His command. That's what this word fear means. Respect the Most High and keep His command. Does that make sense? I wonder if we can find that. Fear, 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 fear. And again, fear. See, Jake doesn't understand that word fear. It scares him. Respect! Woo! And obey. Woo! There's no fear there. Where do you see that word fear, right? Jacks Jake up. Oh, nigga, you fear. You scared. Are you scared? Nigga, you are terrified. Because your mama brought you up. Of course you're scared. This word, I ain't fear. You're a bitch. That's why you're out there shooting a gun, because you're a bitch. If you feared the Most High, which is respect, see that? That's what the word means. Ain't no punk in my heart. We all learned that shit. I'm gonna come and get that nigga. He said, we ain't even scared. I'm gonna go fuck him up. You gonna, nigga, offend one of these littles and have a whole millstone around your neck is what you're gonna do. Anyway, respect and obey the most. That's what this lesson, I should change the name of the lesson because here's the whole thing. It just came out. Reverence. There's your fear. See, take the word fear out, and what do you get? The message comes clear. This will block it. This is a stumbling block for a nigga. A 2/3 can't get past that. He ain't vibrating at a frequency to overcome that stumbling. He's going to trip and fall on his face. I ain't scared of shit. I ain't fear no God. Well, who God? Who God? No, nigga, respect what he's about to do. You will on your knees right before you're fucking getting your head chopped off. And these words will come to your mind. Let me help you, nigga. Let's take the word fear out of it, so maybe you might get this message. Okay? Listen to everything and be in awe of Yahweh Shemi Hoshai. We don't have to use the word fear. The end of the matter, all having been heard, oh, there's that word. We got to take that out. Nigga don't understand that. He'll start a whole fight because he don't understand the word fear. If we change that word to what it really means, nigga has been socialized And I wonder if that's by design. I wonder if Esau did that. Fear God. Oh, nigga, you don't fear nothing, right? I got this contract. I got a record contract if you don't fear nothing. Yeah, you can't use that word, fear. What is it? The good news? It was... I'm going to end it right here. Ecclesiastes 12 and 13 in the Contemporary English Version. Everything you were taught can be put into a few words. Here's the message. Salakia. Bear with me. Ecclesiastes 12 and 13 in the King James. Let us hear the conclusion of the whole matter. Fear God and keep his commandments, for this is the whole duty of man. A soft nigga that was raised by his mama is going to object this because he's being told what to do. He feels like he's being threatened. He can't understand that. But if you sit his soft ass down in a non-threatening way, which you shouldn't have to do, but this is your boy. You sit him down and you say, look, man, everything you were taught, man, check this out. Hey, man, put the gun down. Everything you were taught can be put into respect and obey the Most High, man. This is what life is all about. With that, we hope that the elect are edified. Your brothers and sisters, shalom.